Hey everyone, how's it going? So, I just wanted to talk to you real quick here about customers and mechanics to customers, customers to mechanics, okay? And what I'm about to say is probably going to get some of you shop owners and other mechanics to be, man, are you out of your mind? But let me explain, okay? And it's kind of like the old saying of you get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar, in a way, kind of. But what I'm getting at is giving customers value is number one. That's the top priority here. Okay, you give customers value and they know they're getting value, they're going to come back to you. They're going to basically want to have you do their work because they know that you're doing for them what they need to have done. They see a value in what you provide. They see a value in your services. If you didn't show that, why would they come to you, right? Okay? It also boils down to us with customers too. If we feel you're not a valuable customer, bye. You know, I don't want to deal with you. You become more of a hassle to deal with than you're worth. And yes, I told you that before. I fired customers. It happens. But anyway, if somebody doesn't like us, they don't come back. And it happens. It's part of business. It's with any business. You're never going to have absolutely every customer be absolutely 100% satisfied with absolutely everything you do. It happens. Perfect case example is this transmission issue. The customer's not happy with us. It was a failure. We're owning it. But anyway, that's besides the point. So I just want to give you an example of something that happened last week. And I think this is a prime example of doing right by the customer and then the customer does right by you, okay? Customer had their car towed in. And her complaint was, the car itself doesn't matter, so just don't worry about that. So the customer's complaint was, I get a burning smell when I turn the key on. Like I went to go start it and I got this burning smell, and she goes, I turned it right off because I'm just afraid that the car's gonna catch on fire. Okay. She said, I went and checked underneath the hood and I didn't smell it outside the car. She goes, but inside the car, I really smell it. She goes, I stuck my nose at the vent and I couldn't smell it there. She goes, I don't know where it's coming from, but I'm just afraid the car's gonna catch on fire. Okay, perfectly understandable. So she has it towed in. I get it in the shop. I start looking at it. Like I looked at it outside. I'm like, I don't really smell anything. I started it up. Yeah, I smelled something. I'm like, all right, well, let me pull it in the shop. I wasn't sure what I was smelling just yet. Remember the Chrysler 300? I said you could smell that electrical smell. I smelled that a little bit, just a faint hint of it. Now, my nose is kind of like wiped out over the years of doing this, from gear oil and brake clean and everything else. So it's like, sometimes it's difficult for me to smell certain smells, but I could get a pretty good hint of it. So I get it in a shop and I'm like, putting my sniffer to like the dashboard and stuff like that, and underneath the dash, I'm like, it's definitely inside the car. It's not outside the car. I even went underneath the hood too. Maybe it's underneath the hood and coming through the cowl, because that's how you get the air inside the vehicle. No, it's definitely not underneath the hood. It's inside the car. So I'm checking around. I start taking stuff apart. Now, this is a customer that had been here one time in the past, only one time, okay? And that was 9 months ago. She goes other places for oil changes and stuff like that. So I'm checking it out, and as I'm looking at it, I come to realize, hey, the burning smell is actually coming from the ignition switch. But I hear another noise, like I hear like an electrical arcing noise, like a buzz. Every once in a while when you go to turn the key, and when it gives that buzz sound is when you smell the smell. And I could turn the key really slow, and then all of a sudden I'd get a really good whiff of it. And it almost smelled like it was coming from behind the gauge cluster. So, all right, what do you do in a situation like that? Okay, well, I'm gonna have to replace the ignition switch to start with. I know that there's a problem with the ignition switch. The ignition switch has a contact issue, okay? Is it the whole issue? I don't know. It's where I would start. I have a funny feeling, just from the experience that I have, that is the entire problem, but I cannot guarantee it. I work up an estimate for the customer, and the estimate came out to like almost $700, okay? I call her up, Oh, and I had checked the car out too, and I found it had a pretty substantial oil leak, and it was overdue for an oil change by a couple thousand miles, and it was low on oil. Not tremendously low on oil, but it was at the bottom of the hash mark. So it needed at least a half a quart of oil. So I call her up, and I said, listen, this is what we found. Okay, I need to start with an ignition switch. I can't guarantee that's going to be the entire failure. Do I feel pretty confident that it is the entire failure? Yes, I do, but I can't guarantee it. You know, this is just how I feel. This is where I would start if it was my own car, my mom's car, one of my kids' cars. This is where I would start. And I feel pretty good about this just being the only issue you're going to have in terms of that with your car. So she says, okay. And at that point, I did tell her, listen, I also found these things wrong, okay? You have this pretty heavy oil leak coming here, and you need an oil change. Well, how much is that gonna cost? So with the oil change and fixing that oil leak, it was a pretty heavy leak, like I said, it was gonna be about another $600 to $700, something in that range. She goes, I can't afford that. She goes, just hold off on that for now. It's like, okay. I said, well, I'm gonna top off your oil. I don't want you to leave here being low on oil. So she's like, okay. I said, what I'll do is, once I get the ignition switch in, and that's all taken care of, I will call you and I'll let you know if there's anything additional. I said, but I'm feeling pretty comfortable with this. And she goes, are you really feeling pretty comfortable with it? I'm like, yeah, I am. I'm pretty confident. I said, but I cannot rubber stamp this and say, hey, this is gonna be the be all end all. So she's like, okay, I understand. She got it, okay? So I give the job to Rick. Rick gets it done, and he comes back to me, and he's like, I got that done pretty quickly. He goes, it went super smooth. How much time did you spend on it? So he tells me I spent about X amount of time on it. I was like, okay. I was like, you know what? That's a lot faster than I anticipated. So by about an hour. So I was like, okay. Looking at the book time was actually 3 hours. So we had it about 2 hours into it. All right, I knocked the labor down to 2 hours. She wasn't expecting it, and it did fix the problem. So I called her up. I said, okay, your car is ready to be picked up. Everything's fixed. She goes, the burning smell is gone? I said, yeah. And she goes, oh, okay, and what's the total? And I said, it came out to like $500, whatever it was. And she goes, I thought you said it was gonna be like 6 and change. I said, yeah. I said, but the job went so smooth, I was able to knock an hour's worth of labor off. And this is where I'm sure some of you guys are gonna say, you're out of your mind. You're nuts. Why would you take time off? You already quoted a price. Because it's the right thing to do. That's why, because it's the right thing to do. She was so happy with that, she had us do the other repairs, okay? I wasn't looking for her to have me do the other repairs at that time. I was already, I already resigned to the fact that she was gonna either come back later or have somebody else do it, okay? But I did the right thing, and the right thing got me the rest of the repairs, okay? And I can't tell you how many times I've seen that knowing other shops and what I see at other shops when I visit them and stuff like that, because I know other shops in the areas. And it's like they want to hammer everybody for every little thing. And then they lose. So it's like there's a reason you have the reputation that you have, okay? The old saying is you get more bees with honey or more flies with honey than you do with vinegar or whatever it is. And it's the truth. It really is the truth. But that's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for what makes me feel like I am doing the right thing by my customer. And then my customer does the right thing by me. My customer feels happy, they feel secure, they feel confident coming into me to have me do their repairs, because they know I'm not about to take advantage of them. They know I'm always going to do the right thing by them, and I'll stand behind my work. They know that. So the fact that I gave back an hour, and I didn't spend the hour, so it's not like I lost anything, okay? I didn't lose anything because I didn't spend that hour. So it was a win-win. It was a win for the customer. It was a win for the shop, okay? The customer was ecstatic. They were super happy. Hey, these guys are honest. These guys, they step up to the bat and they play ball. They worked with me. I didn't even ask for this. They did it. I'm going to recommend all my friends go there, because that's what happens in a situation like that. If you over discount your work, you get the opposite effect. Trust me, I've seen that happen. You know, you go ahead and you give somebody such a break because you want them to bring in some other people. The other people you attract are those people that don't want to spend the money. I hate to say it that way, but it's the truth. And like I said, businesses, no matter who they are in business to make money. They're not in business as a charity, right? I mean, if you're a handyman service, if you're a contractor, if you're a repair shop, if you're a paint and body shop, if you're a window salesman, you know what I mean? You're there to make money. Whatever you do it to make money. You don't do it for free, right? But when you do the right thing as an independent contractor, as an independent company, you get people that will come back to you because of it. So I just kind of wanted to share that with you. Now, sometimes no matter what you do, you're going to make people not happy. And it happens. You know, it's part of the business. I have more cases of those than making people not happy. I'll tell you that right now. I have way more cases of people being extremely ecstatic with our work. This situation is another one that, unfortunately, the customer's not too happy with us because it burned the transmission up a week after I had built it, or 2 weeks, whatever it was. So I started making a video yesterday. I was putting it back together, and everything was fighting me. So I have to severely edit that video. But everything was fighting me. I don't know if you can see in the top here, the pump is in place. You can just see that little snout sticking up. The pump is in place. And then I happened to see on the bench, and it must have fallen out and I didn't realize, a bearing. I had just laid the pump in place. How I missed that, I don't know. But now I got to take the darn thing back apart again. So I'm going to be doing that, getting that finished. So that video for this may not be as great as you anticipate. But anyway, that's about it. So do the right thing by your customers, and your customers will do the right thing by you, and I've always felt that way. The first shop I ever really started at was a place called North Broadway Auto Service. I worked for Tommy and Dick, and Richie was the main shop mechanic there when I started. And I learned this stuff a long time ago from them because they were absolutely the most honest guys I ever met in my life. And that's how I got to be the person I am today. And I can thank them for that. North Broadway Auto Service in North White Plains, New York. NBAS. And I believe they are still in North White Plains. I believe Tommy still owns the shop, but I'm pretty sure he's retired by now. Don't know whatever happened with Dick. Dick actually became my partner at my shop in the very beginning when I first opened up. And then him and I separated ways. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. All right, guys, have a great day. Keep wrenching.